Magic. It's a bit strange being in front of people. I'm used to everyone just being on a screen. So, as we've heard, I'm Suzanne Mathieson. I'm Deputy Director for all things Crewe. So that's Crewe Programme of Works, which we're going to take you through. Very briefly, it will be a quick roller coaster tour because we could talk about Crewe for a whole day, if I'm brutally honest. But we'll try and keep it concise. And this is Heather.
So, yeah, I'm Heather Pritchard. I'm one of the Senior Programme Development Managers for the Crewe Hub Programme, primarily leading on the rail systems engineering side of the programme.
Right, let's see what will work. So, some of you in the room will no doubt remember the last time Crewe was actually modified and remodelled, and that was back in 1985. And I can see some smiles, so it is a nod. As you can imagine, we actually rationalised the layout. So Crewe today only works because of very clever timetabling, because we took a lot of the functionality away back in 85. And obviously the growth of the network and the train service has meant we need to be putting it back in. Alongside that, obviously 85 was quite a few years ago, and asset condition is getting a little bit tired through Crewe, if you've been through Crewe lately. I'm trying to be very polite. So, what does that mean? HS2. Many of you have probably heard of HS2. We've got HS2, the Phase 1 element, which will be London through to Birmingham, and then we've got the Phase 2 element, which was some years ago, back in 2017, we decided that we would split HS2 in Phase 2 into 2A and 2B as it is known today. So the 2A bit goes from Birmingham through to Crewe. And as part of that vision, it was back in the day when David Higgins initiated a report, so that came out in 2015, and highlighted that Crewe was the best place to get to accelerate the benefits of the north and support the growth in the north and wider vision that was meant for Crewe. So through that, HS2, Network Rail and the department have worked closely together in trying to develop a layout, a structure which will support a number of different configuration states from a timetable perspective. What does that mean? Well, wider benefits. If we do something at Crewe, as I touched on earlier, we'll reduce the average asset life. So you've not just got the core West Coast main line, and Heather's going to go through some of the detailed layout in a little while. You've also got asset conditions on the periphery. So independence, for instance, some of that dates back to 1960s, if I'm brutally honest. So asset is obsolete at the best. So average age through the Crewe area is 35 years. So we're looking to renew a lot of that, increase the capability to meet obviously the passenger growth, and that supports even post-COVID. So we're currently on an upward trajectory regardless of COVID. And we have done all the retests and the PED flows, and that's still coming through that something needs to happen at Crewe. So we're looking to improve the performance and resilience through that scheme, preparing for, obviously, the arrival of HS2 in its different configuration states, passenger train and freight growth. Freight is a key element of Crewe, as many of you probably are aware. There's a number of businesses in and around that surrounding area, as well as Freightliner, which has its biggest depot. And we're looking also through this to reduce the day-to-day costs and maintenance costs. Always a challenge, and as I've touched on earlier, align with that greater vision for Crewe. The local council and the local enterprise partnership have a number of aspirations for regenerating the whole of the Crewe and that wider area out to Warrington, into North Wales and beyond. So that's where we're heading. And so why do we need Crewe, and what's Crewe got to deliver? A lot of information on this slide, and I'll try and quickly, if I can point. Oh, I can point. Quickly summarise. Current timetable that runs through, as alluded to earlier, 25 services. And that's in a standard hour, and that's just passengers. As you move forward into 2026, based on the aspirations we're looking at, that'll increase just from a West Coast conventional rail perspective to 27. We then, through Phase 2A, up the service it goes to a number of 30. The issue there is a number of the services have to turn right to go to Manchester. So if you know the layout, that creates a huge conflict, and from a train planning perspective is a wee bit of a nightmare. So we've had to build some flexibility in to be able to support that. Fast forward, Phase 2B, which the bill is due to be deposited back end of this year, early into next. They're looking to deliver a Crewe North connection, which would allow more services to call at Crewe, but then get back onto their network. In that world, and also you'll have the tunnel, which is proposed as part of the HS2 Phase 2A piece of work, which will go under Crewe, the number of services actually drops back down to a more manageable level. So throughout all of that, we've got to try and develop a flexible layout that can cope and move forward and deliver for both West Coast timetable as we know it today and future, Phase 2A and Phase 2B. And there's a number of configuration states which sit behind this and various different tests that we've done, which I'm not going to bore you with, but happily talk you through some of them post this discussion. And now I'll hand over for more detail to Heather, who will walk you through some of the projects.
Right, so as you can see on this slide here, this is an extract from the Quail maps. And, oh, here we go. Excuse me, I'm technologically challenged here. So we have, where's the pointer? Sorry. Press that. Right, there we go, sorry. So as you can see, this is West Coast South running through the heart of Crewe Station. So here's Crewe in the middle, and we have West Coast South running through to the north. We have the lines from South Wales running into Crewe. We have the line off to Chester. We have the lines running through to Manchester, and we have the lines running through, that is the Potteries line, as they're known, and also that's the line to Alsager. So as you can see, Crewe Station is a hub in the truest sense of the word. And we have a lot of projects that we plan to deliver within the Crewe Hub programme within in excess of a 10-year duration in time. So the first project that we are going to be delivering is the independent lines here. That's one of the signal boxes located on the independent lines. So the independent lines they join at Basford Hall and run all the way around the back of Crewe. It's primarily a freight route running around the back of Crewe, and they join to the lines to Chester. Also, they go underneath the West Coast Main Line and join the line to Manchester. And also here they join and head towards the north towards Liverpool on the West Coast Main Line. We also are planning to renew the Crewe core station area here. That's a mix of asset-driven renewals. It's a multidisciplinary project, and also infrastructure enhancements in and around the Crewe station. We then move on to HS2 Phase 2A Southern Connection. That will be a grade-separated junction that will join the West Coast Main Line around the 155-mile post to the south of Crewe. Also, aligning with the works that we are undertaking in and around the Crewe station area, we are working with Cheshire East Council. They have a master plan, and that is one of their diagrams, a vision of how they would like Crewe station to look in future. They have aspirations for an enhanced station concourse, new station entrance, a transfer deck to run across the station, and also a Southern Link road bridge, and we are working really closely with them. We are then looking at 16 number crossings on the Alsager corridor, which is this line here coming out of Crewe. That's a mix of foot crossings all the way through to level crossings. And then, as Suzanne alluded to earlier, we are moving on in the late 2030s to the delivery of HS2 Phase 2B, Crewe North Connection, and a rolling stock depot to the north of Crewe. That's awaiting formal instruction to be included within the Crewe Hub programme at the moment, and it's subject to the bill being deposited later on this year, as Suzanne mentioned earlier. We also have to the north of Crewe, Winsford to Weaver. This is a section of like-for-like resignaling that we will be undertaking, which joins the dots from Crewe North through to the Warrington section of the West Coast North. And finally, we are looking at the resignaling of the Alsager line, which is the line here out of Crewe. So as you can see, we have a lot of projects and a lot of work that we need to undertake in and around the Crewe area over the next 10 plus years. So I'll just go into a little bit more detail on a number of those projects that we've just discussed. So this is the Basford Hall and Independent Lines work stream, including resilience works. So again, we have an extract from the Quail map here. This shows the independent lines that run round the back of Crewe Station. So the independent lines were built in and around 1901. I've been reliably told that I wasn't around at the time. And that was primarily to ease congestion through Crewe Station. So there was a marked increase in freight traffic. So the independent lines were built and they're running around the back of Crewe Station. So the scope for the Basford Hall independent line works is for a full resignaling of the Basford Hall, sorting sidings north and Salop goods lines and the signal boxes. Now, the driver here from a renewal perspective is asset condition. So we have wire degradation in and around the Basford Hall independent line area. We have a number of components that are obsolete and also need to ensure that we are compliant to standards. So as existing, the line speed on the independent lines is down to 10 miles an hour. It actually was 20 miles an hour historically. However, due to the poor condition of track and drainage in and around that independent line area, and also a number of derailments, the line speed was reduced to 10 miles an hour. So another work stream that we have ongoing in and around the Basford Hall independent line area is to look at the resilience of this layout running around the back of Crewe and understanding and developing what work needs to be undertaken to increase the line speed back to 20 miles an hour. So this will be primarily track renewals and drainage renewals in and around the independent line area to ultimately increase the line speed back to 20 miles an hour. The reason being for the proposed increase in line speed is we want to use the independent lines as a diversionary route whilst we're building the Crewe Core Station area and we have the West Coast blocked. We want to run passenger services around the back of Crewe to keep services moving as in light of putting passengers first and keeping services moving, so that this resilience work and the work to increase the line speed is key to the delivery of the Crewe Core Station layout ultimately. So moving on, Alsager Resignaling. So as we discussed earlier, this is the line from Crewe and that's the Alsager line there heading towards Kidsgrove. And we're looking at the renewal of life-expired signalling assets. So we are going to be re-signalling and recontrolling to the Manchester Rail Operating Centre. And we're going to be converting 2 MCB CCTV crossings to MCB OD. And we're looking at renewing around 30 SEUs. I do need to add as well, actually, on the independent lines, we're going to be renewing 171 SEUs in total. So that's the Alsager Resignaling. We are also looking at extending the platform at Alsager Station. Moving on to level crossings and crossings, there are 14 number crossings along the Alsager corridor. They're all highlighted here. And we are looking at a number of schemes to either close the crossing, put a footbridge over, all the way through to upgrading level crossings. We are also looking at a Riva Train Care Depot, and there's a crossing there that we are actually looking at closing and putting a new road in, and the delivery of that will be imminent. So, the proposed layout for Crewe Station area. This will be a multidisciplinary project that we plan to deliver in 2026. And we are looking to remodel the whole of the Crewe Station layout to accommodate the passage of HS2 services to stop and pass through Crewe Station layout, and also to ensure that the current classic passenger services and freight services can run in and through Crewe at the same time. And the layout that we will be developing, or we are developing at Crewe, will provide, I call it an end state layout. What this means is it will be able to accommodate both HS2, Phase 2A and Phase 2B services running through Crewe. So it's in essence de-linked from the delivery of High Speed 2. How will we do this? We are looking at extending platforms to accommodate ultimately 400 metre long HS2 services, being platforms 5 heading to the south and platform 6 heading to the north. So both extensions are at the south end of Crewe Station. So platforms 5 and 6 in a Phase 2A world will be the primary platforms for HS2 services, with West Coast services moving across to use platforms 11 and 12. In times of perturbation, platform 12 is also long enough to accommodate a 400 metre long HS2 service. We are also looking at removing this bay platform 2 here, and we're looking at reintroducing 2 new south-west facing bay platforms. Those will primarily be for services coming from South Wales and terminating at Crewe. We're also retaining the bay platform on the north-western side of the station, primarily for services running into Crewe from Chester. And again, for anybody that knows Crewe, we are actually reintroducing the platform on the far western side of the station. Now, this used to be called Platform 1. Platform 1 as existing is at the bottom end of, or the eastern side of the station. When the station was remodelled in 1985, the numbering changed. So we're reintroducing this platform on the far western side of the station, and this is currently called Platform E. However, we are in the process of agreeing changing the numbering convention because we don't want to be stuck with platforms with letters rather than numbers. So this, in essence, will take us from 12 platforms as existing up to 13 platforms in the Crewe area layout. And as you can see, we are remodelling the junctions from the south of Crewe all the way through to the north of Crewe. So as Suzanne mentioned earlier, services coming from Cardiff into Platform 6, that's where they turn right, and that is the potential bottleneck from a capacity perspective as services come into Crewe and then ultimately turn right. So the approach of HS2 Phase 2B with the tunnel underneath Crewe will alleviate and release capacity through the West Coast main line. Moving on then, HS2 Phase 2A. This is the Crewe Southern Connection. So the Crewe Southern Connection will be a key connection between the north end of HS2 Phase 2A and it will join the West Coast main line. It will take the form of a grade separated junction, and this is again a multidisciplinary project. So using my pointer here, you can see the existing West Coast main line that's highlighted in green. So that's the existing West Coast main line running from south through to north. This will actually, as part of the Phase 2A works, be diverted, it will be moved. The new blue line will be the new alignment of the West Coast main line running through and in towards Crewe stations just to the north of here. And that will leave a footprint which will allow, this is HS2's captive network, and it will allow a grade separated junction to fly over the proposed West Coast main line alignment here and drop into and join the West Coast main line and run through into Crewe. So this grade separated junction, we are working really closely with High Speed 2 to deliver and develop the Crewe Southern Connection. And the work is split based on who we believe is best placed to actually deliver and commission the works ultimately. And this is all underpinned by the Phase 2A hybrid bill. We achieved royal assent back in February this year. So here, Crewe programme and staging. This is a slide just to articulate the number of stages that we have planned and the works that we plan to undertake within the banner of the Crewe programme. So starting from stage 1, which is the Basford Hall and Independent lines, planning to deliver in 2023, running all the way through to the ultimate delivery of HS2 Phase 2B, where Crewe hub trains will be running from the north, and that again will be a grade separated junction to the north of Crewe. So we have a lot of work that we need to undertake in and around the Crewe area. We will be there in excess of 10 years' time, and hopefully it will take me through to my retirement. Yes, I am that old. Right, Suzanne, I'll move on to you.
Bless her, she's not that old really. So as you can imagine, there is a lot of work to be done in and around Crewe. As part of that, and as Heather has alluded to, we've been working really, really closely with HS2, DFT, Cheshire East, every politician you can probably think of, because like Crewe, anyone who knows Crewe or goes to Crewe, there is a lot of history and a lot of railway people in Crewe, and everyone's got an opinion of what we need to do or what we should be doing. So the consultations have been fun, let's say that. But with regard to HS2, what we've really tried to do is build a team ethos and work really openly. And that is more challenging than one would think. We've been set up as two very different organisations, and we're trying to build the bridges. So over the past 2 years, to get us to that layout that you saw on the screen there and Heather took us through, we've been working in a very virtual team, aligned to both companies, both organisations' values, which we've put some of them up on the screen there. And it's all about safety, it's all about catalyst of growth, it's about capacity, value for money, efficiency, all those good words, which is why we've joined forces with HS2 for Crewe. As we said, asset renewal was required regardless, so we needed to get that asset up to scratch in order for HS2 to be able to plug into it in my simple, I'm non-engineer speak. And we've got there just about, but what we've been able to do is build an effective layout within a funding envelope. As you're probably all aware, we've got real funding constraints as we move forward. COVID's not helped us in that fight. And so we're trying to get the most efficient value for money option through Crewe, but without constraining Crewe. So by joining forces in those two pots, we've managed to get somewhere. We've got a step closer. Is it the ideal layout? I suspect not. You know, I'm a train planner by trade, way back in the day. And could you do something better? Is this the most flexible? Probably not, but it's the best we can do for the money we've got. And it does provide all the outputs that we need going forward. So my children, their children, because it'll be here for a long time because nothing's temporary on the railway. So hopefully we've got there, and by combining all those values, we've started to develop a joint team, more official joint team. So we're putting into practice now what we've been preaching over the past 2 years. So on both sides of the fence, we've managed to build what is a joint programme. It will be led ultimately by a Crewe area director when they are appointed, beneath which are the various projects. Now, as you could see on that screen, and it's probably not really evident, there is a right mix of projects. There's NR funded, NR delivered. There are HS2 funded, HS2 delivered. There is HS2 funded, NR delivered. There is HS2 delivered but NR delivered as well. So from a mixed pot, we're trying to work out how the governance of all that process works and how we can streamline it as best as possible, because as you can aware that both organisations, we have a variety of hoops we have to jump through, and we're trying to make that as lean as possible to ensure we can deliver. So we're on with that. We have an alliance agreement in place, which is how we'll operate, how we'll shake hands, and all the right behaviours are being demonstrated. That's been signed up to by the chief execs on both sides. And we're now looking at how that actually gets implemented through a governance structure and various project leads. And it's important we do it. Why are we doing this together? Because an impact from one or a change in any one of those projects that you saw on that screen can have an impact on the other, both from a schedule and a cost perspective. So having that guide in mind, having that oversight really helps us to try and drive this programme forward in the best possible way and ensure that we can deliver. We're not proposing, and I will stress this, to change any of the approvals on either side. HS2 stuff will have to be delivered to HS2 standards. NR stuff will have to be delivered to NR standards. We're not going to fight that. We're not going to change that. So we're working to that ethos. But together we can join together and get the most palatable way forward rather than be at each other's throats. And that's the whole aim of this joint team.
I just wanted to jump in with a few geeky facts and stats. So in error, I forgot to advise from a track perspective in and around, I'm not even going to try and point because I'll get the wrong button. In and around the Crewe station area, we have about 102 point ends that we're going to be renewing. We have in excess of 17,000 metres of plain line that we're going to be renewing. That's outstanding the civils works for the platform extensions. We are looking at traction power upgrade to the north of Crewe. So from Crewe station to Weaver, we need to uplift and upgrade the power supply system to an AT system to accommodate that end state train service specification. And also from an HS2 Phase 2A perspective, ultimately that will bring significant journey time benefits. So we will be looking, once HS2 Phase 2A is delivered, a sub 1 hour journey time between Crewe and London Euston. So we'll be looking at around 56 minutes, where as existing today, the quickest journey time, I believe, and somebody's probably going to tell me I'm wrong, but I do believe it's around 1 hour and 30 minutes. So as you can understand, once HS2 Phase 2A is delivered, all the benefits of being able to get on a train at Crewe and travel down to London in sub 1 hour will be very appealing, I would like to think. Okay, Suze.
No worries. You're not going to be able to see this, so you do need your magnifying glasses. But this is just a little, and it's like counting sheep really, it's quite therapeutic. A little run through of the timetable on what we're looking to deliver for Phase 2A. And if you look carefully, you do see the trains start coming through. And we've mapped this out just to help us sell it, and I'm hoping that works.
It takes a couple of seconds to work. Can you see there is one moving to the
south?
Oh
yeah, there you go.
Look, they are all colour-coded as well, although it's difficult to see.
There you go.
So the rolling stock's all colour-coded.
Yeah, so the HS2 are the blues, the freights, postal are the reds. We've got this like greeny colour, it probably doesn't show up. We've got the locals, which are the bright green, our intercities, and this just demonstrates one of the very many configuration states that we've pulled together to try and demonstrate to a number of rather important people in the department that this is the right layout. And just on that, we're currently going through a various route of panels with the department to finally assure this and rubber stamp it as we move forward into our next stage. And with regard to design development, we're just coming out of the optioneering. As you can see, we've got an option and starting to get into detailed design, which is planned early next year. So we're currently engaging and just setting out what that programme looks like. And I think, if we're right, I think we're on time, she says. Whey. Oh, we did start early, so thank you.